Hola, esta lección es sobre el presente del subjuntivo, present tense of the subjunctive. Primero repasamos cómo se forma el subjuntivo. Do you remember how we form it? Primero, vamos a la forma de yo. And this is the yo form of the present indicative, your Spanish 1 basic present tense conjugations. Así que estudiar termina en o, estudio, y comer, como. Es el primer paso. Segundo paso es quitar la o. So we're just going to drop the o. Estudí, com. Y paso 3 es poner las terminaciones opuestas, or the endings for the present subjunctive. Just memorize these. Para un verbo AR, las terminaciones son tú, es, él, usted, ella, nosotros, hemos, vosotros, es, ustedes, ellos, ellas, en. Entonces, estudiar, yo estudié, tú estudies, él, ella, usted estudie, nosotros estudiemos, vosotros estudiéis, ellos estudien. Y para un verbo que termina en ER o IR, las terminaciones son yo, a, tú, has, él, ella, usted, a, nosotros, amos, vosotros, hais, ustedes, ellos, ellas, han. Así que tenemos coma, comas, coma, comamos, comáis, coman. So, es muy importante que sepan formar el subjuntivo. If you need additional practice forming the present subjunctive, then you can do that at conjuguemos.com, and I will link below. Recuerden los casos especiales. Tenemos muchos verbos que tienen formas irregulares de yo. Tener, tenga, hacer, haga, oír, oiga, y mucho más. Cambios de raíz, tenemos reglas especiales para los verbos que cambian de raíz y terminan en IR, like dormir, pedir, preferir. Those IR stem changing verbs will stem change en nosotros. Y tenemos cambios ortográficos, car, gar, sar y her. Car cambia a QU, gar, GU, zar changes to C, y her cambia a J, a J. Y tenemos 6 irregulares, dar, ir, ser, haber, estar, saber. And you can refer to Chapter 12 for more details about how to form the present subjunctive. Pero en capítulo 13 vamos a enfocarnos en los usos del subjuntivo. In each chapter, we will be adding another use of the subjunctive. En capítulo 13, el uso es en las cláusulas sustantivales, in your noun clauses. And it's just important to remember the structure and the verb triggers for the use of the subjunctive. So, vamos a hablar sobre la fórmula, la estructura que usamos cuando vamos a usar el subjuntivo. Necesitamos 2 cláusulas y la palabra que. Must have these 2 clauses. A clause is like a little sentence, has a subject and a verb, joined together by que. We have 2 of these. En la cláusula principal, which is your first clause, el verbo que usas siempre está en el indicativo. Remember that the indicative is your Spanish 1 conjugation. So el verbo en la cláusula principal está en el indicativo. Y buscas, you're looking for un verbo de WEIRDO. And we'll talk about what those WEIRDO verbs are in subsequent slides. En la cláusula subordinada necesitas un sujeto diferente. So the subject that's in the second clause must be different than the subject that's in the second clause. Y cuando tenemos todos estos componentes, vamos a usar el subjuntivo en la segunda cláusula, en la cláusula subordinada, the second clause. Un ejemplo. Yo necesito que mis estudiantes hagan la tarea. I need for my students to do their homework. Yo necesito es la cláusula principal. We have que. Cláusula subordinada es mis estudiantes hagan la tarea. So you have your two clauses joined together by que. En la primera cláusula, la cláusula principal, tenemos un verbo de weirdo que está en el presente indicativo. And we'll talk about why this is a weirdo verb in just a minute. En la cláusula subordinada, the second clause, tienes un sujeto diferente. You see, you have a different subject. The subject is mis estudiantes. En la cláusula principal, el sujeto fue yo. So it was yo, and now it changed to mis estudiantes. So we have two different subjects. Y porque tenemos todos estos componentes, usamos hagan, el verbo en el subjuntivo. So let's talk about weirdo. ¿Qué es weirdo? Weirdo es un devicio mnemónico. It's a mnemonic device. And when we find these weirdo verbs and expressions in the first clause, it will trigger the use of the subjunctive in the second clause. So W representa wishes, wills, wants. So any verb that deals with a wish or will or want will trigger the use of the subjunctive. Verbos de emoción. Verbs and expressions of emotion. I'm happy that, I'm sad that, I like that. Y representa impersonal expressions. Es importante, es necesario. R representa requests and recommendations. D representa doubt and denial. Y O representa ojalá. And we'll go through each one of these. W, will, wish, or want. So these are the expressions that you're looking for in the first clause. Verbs that you're looking for in the first clause. Querer, desear, preferir, insistir, necesitar. Quiero que estudies. I want you to study. Necesito que vayas a la tienda. I need you to go to the store. When we're going through these, I want you to focus on the weirdo expression in the first clause and the use of the subjunctive in the second clause. Also pay attention to that subject change. Yo quiero que tú estudies. Yo necesito que tú vayas. E representa emoción. Algunas expresiones y verbos de emoción son esperar, to hope, to expect, sentir, to feel or to regret, alegrarse de, to be happy about, me gusta, I like, sorprenderse, to be surprised, temer, to fear, y tener miedo, to be afraid. Me alegro de que estés aquí. I'm happy that you're here. Tú tienes miedo que la clase sea difícil. You're afraid that the class will be difficult. Y representa impersonal expressions. An impersonal expression is es plus an adjective. Es necesario, es importante, es bueno, es horrible, es terrible, es mejor, es peor, es posible, es probable. These are just basic generalizations. Es importante que hables en español. It's important for you to speak in Spanish. Es necesario que hagas la tarea. It's necessary for you to do your homework. Una cosa importante con las expresiones impersonales, no uses el subjuntivo con expresiones de certidumbre. Don't use the subjunctive with expressions of certainty. Some expressions of certainty son es verdad, es cierto, es obvio, es seguro. It's true, it's certain, it's obvious, it's sure, it's surely. When you have these expressions of certainty, the verb in the second clause will be the indicative. So we cannot use the subjunctive when we have expressions of certainty. Un ejemplo, es verdad que estudias mucho. See, estudias is indicative. It's your normal present tense Spanish 1 conjugation. Otra cosa con las expresiones impersonales, cuando no hay un sujeto específico, usas el infinitivo. So here it's a generalization. Es difícil conseguir trabajo. It's difficult to find work, to get work. For who? Who are we talking about? Who is it difficult to find a job or to get work? Anybody. So we're not talking about any specific person. So we don't have the K, we don't have a subject, so we just use the infinitive. Es difícil conseguir. Es necesario apagar el fuego. It's necessary to extinguish the fire. R representa request, recommendations. Verbos son pedir, to ask for, to order, to request. This is a stem changing verb. Decir, to say or to tell. Now this has two meanings. When you're just saying something, you don't use the subjunctive because you're not giving a request. If you're telling someone to do something, you are making a request, so you would use the subjunctive. So just stating a fact, just saying something, the teacher says that we have a test on Monday. You're just saying that the teacher says something. So you would not use the subjunctive. You would use the indicative. The teacher tells me to study. She's telling you to do something. So you would use the subjunctive. Mandar, to command. Ordenar, to order. Not order food, to order someone to do something. Prohibir, to prohibit. Check your conjugations on that. There's some accent marks on that I. Permitir, to permit, to allow. Exigir, to demand. Recomendar is an E to IE stem changer, to recommend. Sugerir, E to IE stem changer, to suggest. Les pido que lleguen a tiempo. I ask that you all arrive on time. Sugiero que ustedes estudien para el examen. I suggest that you all study for the exam. De representa doubt and denial. Verbos son dudar, to doubt. Negar, to deny. This is an E to IE stem changer. No es cierto. It's not true. No creer, you don't believe, so you're denying something. No es verdad, it's not true. No pensar, you don't think, so you're denying it, you're doubting it. No estar seguro, to not be sure, so you're not certain. Dudo que conozcas alguna persona famosa. I doubt that you know a famous person. No creo que estudies esta noche. I don't believe that you will study tonight. So I'm expressing doubt or denial about something, so I use the subjunctive. And just like those expressions, those impersonal expressions, no uses el subjuntivo con expresiones de certidumbre. Don't use the subjunctive when you have expressions of certainty. Y las expresiones son no dudar. So we have don't doubt. If there's no doubt, then there's no doubt, and we can't use the subjunctive. No negar. We don't deny. Creer. We believe. Pensar. We think. And so on. So be very mindful of these expressions of doubt and denial. Pienso que te gusta la clase. I think that you like the class. Now, pienso is one that's usually hard for English speakers because a lot of times in English we say, I think that the party is at 8. And we're expressing some uncertainty about that. But in Spanish, they don't have that because they have the subjunctive. If they're expressing uncertainty about something, then they will use the subjunctive. But if they're just stating a belief about something that they think is certain, then they will use the indicative. Pienso que te gusta la clase. So I'm using the indicative here. So this is a statement of certainty. I think that you like the class. I'm not doubting. I'm pretty certain of it. Y hoy representa ojalá. Ojalá es una expresión que quiere decir hopefully. It's just an expression. And anytime you have ojalá, the verb that follows will be in the subjunctive. With ojalá, the structure is a little different. The que es opcional. So ojalá is your first phrase, and then you can have your first clause. Ojalá que, and then you have your second clause. Que tú saques una A en la prueba. And the que es opcional, so we can put it in there, or we can take it out. Ojalá tú saques una A en la prueba. Either one is perfectly acceptable. La cosa importante es que el verbo que sigue, ojalá, the verb that follows, ojalá, siempre está en el subjuntivo. Ojalá saques una A en la prueba. Hopefully you'll get an A on the quiz. Let's go through some of these practices, and you can pause and complete these on your own. Let me go back to that. Necesito que ellos estudiar para el examen. I need for them to study for the exam. Necesito. Is this a verbo de weirdo? Is this a weirdo expression? Yes, it is. We have our two clauses, so we're going to use the subjunctive, estudien. Comprendemos que ella ser muy inteligente. We have our two clauses. Comprendemos que ella ser muy inteligente. We have our two clauses. We have a subject change. Comprendemos is nosotros, and then ella is our other subject. Comprendemos means we understand. Is this a wish, a want, a will? No. Is it an emotion? No. Is it an impersonal expression? As something? No. Is it a request? Are we trying to get someone to do something? No. Is it doubt? Are we saying that this doesn't exist? Are we doubting this? No. And it's not ojalá. We're saying we understand. So it's going to be the indicative. This is kind of like an expression of certainty. We understand, we think, we believe. No creo que el examen ir a ser difícil. I don't think that the exam is going to be difficult. No creo, I don't believe. So this is a doubt or denial. So ir en el subjuntivo es vaya. Más ejemplos. Sabemos que Elena ser muy bonita. Sabemos, we know that Elena is very pretty. So sabemos, we know. That's not a wish, it's not an emotion, it's not an impersonal expression, it's not a request, it's not doubt or denial. We're not doubting, we're saying we know. So this is an expression of certainty which requires the use of the indicative. Es muy bonita. Es mejor que nadie venir temprano. It's best that no one comes early. Es mejor es una expresión impersonal. This is an impersonal expression, so we use the subjuntivo venga. Oímos que el equipo ir a ganar el partido, where we hear that the team is going to win the game. Oímos que, we hear that. Are we wanting something to happen? No. Is it an emotion? No. Is it an impersonal expression? No. Is it a request? No. Is it doubt? No. We're just stating a fact. We hear that this is going to happen. So we have this structure, but we don't have one of these weirdo expressions. So we have to use the indicative, Spanish one, of ir es va. Prefiero leer libros que no me aburran. Fin. So you can go back and watch this PowerPoint presentation on Blackboard if you'd like, And if you have any questions, you can email me.